Welcome into the Scene Project Sports Network. You are here live this morning for the Scratch Project Saturday Cut Line. I'm joined by my co-host, Alex. Pods Plays Golf. Pods, what's shaking today?
Not much, a little bit of an early day. So we're going to talk about some early rounds of golf.
For you especially, it's already 10 a.m. here Central Time, but you're out on the West Coast representing the state of California. I know it's an early morning and not many people on your side of the world up and kicking it, but I appreciate you tuning in with us and dropping some knowledge for us. You got a great show planned. I'm just trying to keep this thing on the rails. First of all, I'd like to shout out our sponsors, SKUNK'd Golf Company. We're going to hit an ad from them real quick while we get the rest of the show together in some segments. This is kind of our first weekend covering it. We obviously had our Masters coverage last weekend doing recaps, but Pod's had a great idea here, and I'm just trying to make it all happen. So quick word from our sponsors at SKUNK'd Golf, then we'll be back with more. Got to show some love to our friends over at SKUNK'd Golf Company. If you've ever stepped onto the course and thought, man, my game might not be it today, don't worry. They've already got you covered. Skunk'd is all about one thing, looking good, even if your game stinks. And right now is the time to jump in because they're celebrating their 2-year anniversary sale, which means you can grab some of the cleanest golf gear out there without breaking the bank. Go to their website and use code STAYSTINKY to get 20% off on hats, polos, and gear that actually turns heads on the course, even if your scorecard doesn't. Don't miss the SKUNK'd Golf Classic Tournament happening June 27th in Minot, North Dakota. It's not just a tournament, it's a whole vibe. Good people, good golf, and let's be honest, probably a few questionable swings. It's all for charity. Join us June 27th in Minot. So whether you're scratch or just scratching your head trying to find your ball in the rough, check out SKUNK'd Golf Company. Take advantage of that anniversary sale and get yourself ready for the SKUNK'd Classic. SKUNK'd Golf. Look good, even if your game stinks. Well, Pods, we're going to kick it off here with our first segment, calling it the Tee Box.
All right.
Yeah, so a quick view off the top here. Obviously, we got the RBC Heritage going on. The leader right now at 14 under, at least as far as I can tell, is Matt Fitzpatrick. Yeah, shot an incredible 63 yesterday. Had himself a day, but we also got some news out of LIV Golf this week as well. We're going to get more to the Heritage in our next segment, but I think a lot of the golf world is paying attention to what's happening with LIV Golf and if they will survive the season. Pods, tell us more.
Personally, I think LIV, they had a lot of good ideas, but we all know that some of the big questions for them were right off the bat. Okay, first off, we got a guy, in Norman who wasn't really on good terms with the PGA. Then they handed it over to Scott as the next CEO when Norman stepped down. And then given current climate right now and some issues that are going on near Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, as a lot of people know, made the Saudis pull the PIF, what was the private investment fund, which was supposed to basically fund LIV through 2030. But if they're pulling that, that's billions of dollars being lost in funding, which is basically the money that they were using to pay your Bryson DeChambeaus, your John Rahms, your Brooks Koepkas and the likes. So if that money's not there anymore and they have to go to ground to fund and get some crowdfunding, then I think that they're going to be in a world of trouble because the under is whatever, Liv says they're going to do. Like, oh, this is what we're going to do going forward. They had an announcement. They're going to have another one while they're doing their Mexico City event. And I would take the under on whatever they say their trajectory is, because you can't just lose a PIF and then expect to fund $500 million overnight.
Well, and
That's just.
for people who aren't aware of how Live differentiates itself from the PGA. Now, the PGA is all purse money and sponsorships, right? So the tour itself does not pay anyone to be part of it. You have to win or place, to get. Now, these guys are getting paid something for multiple places. It's not winner takes all tournaments, although the people at the top are making millions of dollars when you win. For guys that are not in that and are missing the cut line and having that, you're not getting any money, right? So the PGA can be a very tough business for the players themselves. Now, Liv kind of turned that into their head, and the way that they were able to bring in some of the biggest names in golf was by paying them essentially a salary, saying, hey, you're going to get so much money to come and golf in this league, and we'll pay you. And that is why you are going to struggle if that private money is now pulled out of that. How are you surviving paying out these massive contracts?
I don't think you are, to be honest. Look, I'm not like a big PGA versus Live guy. I honestly think that, yes, it kind of sucks that this next competitive league is, that's in North America anyway, is Live, and that the Saudis fund it, because that's always going to be like, oh, they're trying to, sports wash their reputation and stuff like that. And it already had that stigma attached to it. And now it still, it's been going on what now, like 5 years? Live is. I think they started back in 21. And now you're losing your biggest source of funding. And you don't have that money to pay these big contracts, because when you look at Live, and you were just talking about the difference between a PGA and how a guy gets his money versus Live, they almost had Live contracts set up like it was a football contract. Like, all right, here's your base salary, and then here's some incentives baked in if you want to make a couple extra million. And this is on top of the prize purse for each event. I don't know what you do without that money. Like, that's a big chunk of change just gone.
Right. And without some of the major TV deals that the PGA has baked in with, your major broadcasters, the NBCs and CBS for the majors and all of these tournaments going on, your ESPNs who are covering them. Now, obviously, that media landscape is changing a lot, too, and maybe not as much money coming in for some of the smaller tournaments or lesser known tournaments that are on the PGA schedule. But the simple fact that you're getting the salary as opposed to just the purse money, I think it changes the competition. And that's what a lot of people probably in the early goings were worried about. I still think the golf action is just as good. You have these massive names and some of the best talent in the world that are out there. It just changes the conversation. And because the PGA Tour is a nonprofit organization, and that's the way that their structure is set up, that you're going to have a bit of a difference inside of that, the way things can run privately as opposed to nonprofit, and the way these businesses are set up. But like you said, without $500 million or more funding being pulled out of that, there's no way you're able to survive while some of that other money catches up to the league and brings it into there. It's really, you never like to see this in the world, because it was such a shakeup when they came in. Now with them leaving, it becomes an even bigger shakeup, I think, on the exit, because you may have this talent coming back into the PGA. And I think we can talk about that a little bit too. And not that you don't have, I mean, obviously the Masters drew some of these players back, your John Rahms and Bryson DeChambeau's in there. But if you're bringing them back in on a weekly basis into the PGA, do you think it's going to have an effect on some of those numbers and the talent, or, you know, create a little bit of a schism with some of the players who didn't leave to go over?
You see, this is kind of like a double-edged question in my point of view, because there's a double-edged answer. Because there's what you're going to see on TV and in public interviews, and then there's going to be what players really think in the locker room. So on the interviews, nobody wants to make the tour upset or the governing body upset, because you have to remember too, the PGA Tour, they run themselves as a nonprofit, yes, but they still have to do coordination with all of these other golf courses and all of these other governing bodies too, like, you know, local, because they still have all their under stuff too, like Korn Ferry, Q School, that kind of thing. So there's going to be a major shakeup, because now you're having that vacuum of talent that left all of a sudden being right back on the table. Because I'll tell you this right now, whatever the LIV CEO says, I'm taking the under, or it's just, you just can't get through that. So I'm looking for the PGA Tour to just say, you know what, there was a great divide in golf, and we need to come together. That's going to be their approach to it, to get your major champions back, like your John Rahms, your Bryson DeChambeau's, and your newer blood too. Like, we talk about major champions. AK could be coming back to the PGA Tour. He's been doing really good over in LIV. Like, he won Adelaide. And now you've got the potential to get someone who the PGA really wanted. They may not say it out loud, but they wanted Michael Lasassau. They really did. But, you know, they're like, well, you got to win, and, you know, and get your card and yada, yada, yada. And LIV's like, here's a guaranteed contract. Come play for one of our teams. And now there's that sinking feeling too for a lot of these guys. I know there's a whole Korean squad that they added this year to LIV. Some interesting new names, and also some older names. And now you're thinking, man, is that whole squad gonna have to go? Like, they're just brand new and the money's gone. Like, where are you paying Anthony Kim's salary? Where are you paying Rahm's salary? Where's Bryson's $300 million salary going to go? You know, you can't make it all up in sponsors. But the PGA can. And I guarantee you, when these guys are available, all of those requirements that you saw for Patrick Reed and Brooks Koepka, they're going to be even lighter than when those two had to pay $5 million and lose equity or something in the PGA. So they're going to be like, okay, John Rahm, okay, Bryson, you guys can come back. Because they need it. They want if they're going to stay true to the PGA, where this is where the best play, then they need a John Rahm. They need a Bryson DeChambeau. You may not like their decision to go to LIV, but you know what? If Saudi Arabia wasn't attached to LIV Golf and Norman wasn't attached to LIV Golf as adamantly as it was in the beginning, and it didn't have that schism going in, LIV Golf would be celebrated for paying the guys, and then still paying them on top of that for not only single individual placing, but for team placements, because I thought the team aspect of LIV was his strongest thing, because like, oh my gosh, you have a bad individual round, you're discouraged, but you look up and you see your team's within 2 or 3 strokes, you're like, well, I may not be in it, but I can keep my team in it or ahead of it. That's going to be gone, when I think that's a shame.
Well, and I wonder if there's a way for LIV to downsize some of what they're doing. Now, I don't know what, all of these contracts do and to get too far into there, but it would be nice if maybe they were able to save it in some essence. But as it's set up now without the money, you have to imagine they're folding. And obviously, this is going to be developing. This news just broke this week, and we'll have a lot more to come from this weekly to talk about. Moving on though, Pods, you've been tuning in to the RBC Heritage this weekend. We hit it off the top. Matt Fitzpatrick still in the lead there at 14 under after shooting a 63 on Friday.
Blistering second round.
Yeah,
Absolute
that's just
blister.
crazy. Yeah.
And here's the crazy part is he shot a competitive -6 going into this. So he shot a 65 right before he shot this 63.
Pod, do you think we'll ever get there?
I haven't seen you golf yet, so I couldn't say.
It's not good. It's not good, but
Well,
that's okay. That's why
but
we
is
love
it but is it content worthy?
Yeah, I think so. I think regardless, we are entertaining. That's what makes us good at what we do, right? Well, let's move into the next segment, and we're going to cover everything from RBC, the early rounds here, and what's going on. Hey, shout out to our guy, Big B, tuning in today.
What's up, B?
You had one question before we move on. Could golf ever have a player like Adam Sandler's character, Happy Gilmore? In LIV, maybe in the PGA because of the competitive nature of it. I don't know that it's possible. What's your thoughts, though, Pods?
I think we already have a Happy Gilmore. He just doesn't do the step. I think that's Bryson DeChambeau, to be honest, because he's a little bit more well dressed. But the way that he plays is like Happy Gilmore. Hit that thing far, get a close second shot in, and then Happy learn how to putt.
There's definitely a little bit of that in his game, and it was really fun watching Adam Sandler hit with Bryson on his channel. Obviously, YouTube golf being what it is now.
Sandler's kind of a stick.
Yeah, well,
like
I mean,
real life.
Plenty of money. He's got plenty of time to get out on the course and to be decent, right? And I think obviously he was a golf fan before making Happy Gilmore.
I think he said his dad got him into golf.
Right. So, I mean, you're talking about someone who's been playing the game for a long time, and he's got all the money in the world, right? He can get out and golf 36 a day if he wanted to every single day.
Lessons, more importantly.
Well, and that's important too. And we're definitely going to touch on more of that. And with the Scratch Project, something that we really wanted to do was our in-house expert and golf coach, Lance Christensen Jr., who will be joining us more when his collegiate season ends. But you touched on Q School and the Corn Ferry. That's the next step for him. He'll finish his eligibility in the college ranks this year. He's been, played Division I golf, suffered a major injury in last season, and then has battled his way back for the last 18 months essentially. Battling.
Where does he play?
On the course. Now he's playing at Colorado Christian. So Division II now, high Division II. But even to come back from this massive injury that he suffered is huge. So a lot about more about Lance to come, and he's going to be helping us get better and give us some actionable tips for our game to improve us guys that aren't, going on the tour anytime soon, but want to be better at the game that we love. So a lot more of that action to come from here. This is our next segment here, the cut line. I want to just show off real quick the fancy graphics that I made, Pods. I went worked really hard on this stuff today. So the cut line segment will be just about the PGA Tour of the weekend. As you guys know, that is RBC Heritage today. Starting off, Matt Fitzpatrick, like we talked about, starting the round as the leader at 14 under, but Victor Hovland, I do believe, is right there at 13
under.
So, I mean, it's not like Matt's running away with it. Pods, what were some highlights of the round from yesterday that caught your attention?
Honestly, like I was going through and there was a bunch of shots. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was just Matt Fitzpatrick's aggressiveness in at Harbor Town. You know, like Matt usually plays it. I wouldn't say he plays it passively, but this time he came out aggressive. He was making putts. He was driving the green in two, hitting a bunch of greens in regulation. My personal highlight for him is he made a 25-footer at one point, and it looked like he was putting from 5 feet. That hole is 4 inches in regulation. Matt Fitzpatrick's hole must have been 4 feet wide because that ball was finding birdies. Like, my man had binoculars because he was bird watching. Every time he was around the green, it is special to watch right now. It really is.
B chimed in with a question here. What is harder in golf, being the leader or chasing the leader?
Being the leader.
I was going to say, I think there's always more pressure when you are the guy at the top, knowing that any little mistake can open the door. When you are in that chasing mode, you're playing with house money, essentially. Yeah. So you just got to go out there and do things well, knowing that you're already kind of out of it. What I think can be really tough that probably a lot of us don't talk about, mostly because we've never been there, but being someone who's in that, second through fifth position, that may be a stroke or two behind, not knowing what the leader is going to do. So just having to go out there and play your game, realizing that you could land in that top spot by virtue of somebody else having a bad day and one bad hole rather than that. So I think there's plenty of pressure to go around when you're in those 2 to 5 spots as well, to know that, you may finish not at the top of the leaderboard, but as the day goes on, could find yourself in that position. Little flashback to the Masters. Scotty Scheffler comes in, he's a stroke or two behind, but knowing how guys were playing at the end of the day, you got to keep yourself loose, that you may find yourself in a playoff at the end of the day, even though your round finished a few hours ago.
And let me tell you this, I love Rory. I'm glad Rory won. But Rory would not want to play off with Scotty Scheffler. Nobody, people look at this and they look at the leaderboard. Scotty almost caught him and had a bad first round. So if Scotty would have had a average first round, I'm sorry, but I don't think Rory McIlroy is your repeating Masters champion after what he did in round 2. I think Scotty Scheffler would have won the tournament by 3 strokes.
Right, and Scotty is still sniffing around, this weekend at RBC. I think if Matt can do it, and I know Matt and Scotty were paired up yesterday, were they not?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So I mean, a guy like Scotty Scheffler is just so cerebral about this game and the way that he takes it, and no doubt he was gaining knowledge in watching Matt play his round yesterday as well, right? The way the greens are playing, or maybe a different approach to a hole that he didn't take, but Matt did. So I think there's a lot to gain, and for somebody who thinks the game at a high level like Scotty does,
the way that Scotty thinks
moves today,
he's a Terminator. He may start slow, but he will finish you if you let up on the gas. Like, the worst thing in the world, I think, is going into day 3 and 4, being paired up with Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy, and they're chasing you. because that must feel like you've got an open cut in the ocean being chased down by a shark. You don't know when they're going to get to you, but when they do get to you, it's done. You have to keep distance between yourself and players like that, especially Scotty, because you give him any breathing room and you will find yourself very quickly behind by 2 strokes.
Well, and it looks like the course is playing really well today. Just taking a look at early action, a young man here, and maybe not, but Chandler Blanchett is already 7 under through 14 today. So the course is obviously playing very, very well.
Harbour Town is a very birdieable course.
The scores are dropping and plummeting, and Matt Fitzpatrick is going to have to repeat his performance from yesterday and the day before. Like a 65 is nothing to sneeze at either, and then to go out and shoot a 63 the next day, pretty impressive. But he's going to have to keep his foot on the gas pedal, because if he lets up at all, like you alluded to, there's plenty of guys behind him that will be coming and dropping some low scores today. So going to be an interesting one at RBC Heritage today and through Sunday.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But here's the thing too, is Augusta is a humbling course on the Masters. So we come off the Masters into the RBC, and you're playing a much more golfer-friendly course in the RBC at Harbour Town. So Rory won the tournament, in the teens at Augusta. If that was the projection. Harbour Town, we're looking at potentially having a minus 25 winner, minus 26 winner. Maybe even higher. Because Harbour Town is that birdieable, it's that score friendly. Like, it will make the most elite player look like a god. Like 20. This is something, he's not the most elite player, but he's the most elite player on YouTube. 2017, Wesley Bryan, his only PGA Tour win was the RBC Heritage. So shout out to him, because he had the same thing. And I bring up Wesley because there's a certain person who beat Wesley over in the Dominican, took his second PGA win away, who's still playing to this day, Billy Horschel. And we talked about some of the highlights from the RBC. Well, I want to talk about this one low light, because Billy Horschel's no scrub. He's a sneaky competitive guy. You'll find him sitting there in the top 20, the top 15 most of the time. And Billy came out and shot even par the first round. He had 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. I don't know what happened the second round. He came out and shot 5 over. I think he was +3 on the front and +2 on the back. And he's tied. Last I checked, before this morning started with the tournament, he's cut, but he was tied for 78. So,
yeah, just because the course can give up a lot of birdies doesn't mean that it does.
You have to take advantage when you get birdie looks. But I watched some highlights, or in this case, lowlights, from some of Horschel's round and some of the bottom people's rounds. And I think it's shot selection. You come off the Masters and you're thinking to yourself, well, this course is a lot easier than Augusta. I can take a lot more risk. But in doing so, you still have to make smart club and shot decisions. And I watched a lot of Billy's round, and it looked like a collegiate golfer. I think he was just too much in his head, and I think he was just like you know how you get jet lag when you go from, I say, you're South Dakota. It'd be like you going from California to South Dakota. You got some jet lag. Well, he had Augusta lag. A lot of people had Augusta lag. They thought I'm going to come in here. I'm going to score some birdies because Augusta whooped me a bit. Or in some cases, you had, hey, I did okay at Augusta, and then you come into this thinking this is a significantly easier course, and then you walked in it. Just because it's an easier course doesn't mean the course won't punish you. So
speaking of people who had some good rounds at Augusta, the Ludwig Oddberg,
yes,
kind of a
what a
sleeper
phenom
today. I think he's gaining on his experience at the Masters, getting to golf in those final 2 days, and now bringing that momentum with him into this tournament. He's at 9 under today. What do you got on Ludwig?
Ludwig had a blistering first round, had kind of a tentative second round, but still good enough to put him for T4 at the end of the second day. Made the cut line, obviously, He's only 4 shots back, of Hovland, and he's 5 shots back of Fitzpatrick. I actually think that the final group come tomorrow will be Fitzpatrick, Hovland, and I believe that Oberg will make his way into that final group, along with Scheffler being just in the second group behind them. Now, who's going to be with Scotty? I have no idea because there's like 26 people tied for, fourth. So,
yeah,
but I would say that it's going to come down to those 3 guys: is Fitzpatrick, Oberg, and Hovland. I really do.
Yeah, and you got Jason Straka up there in that T4 position. Patrick Cantlay, Brennan McIntyre's in there, Kitayama, Ricky Fowler.
Oh, God, I feel so bad for the Golf Channel. If they got to have Cantlay in a featured group on the final day, they're going to have to get some more advertisements to fill some time slots.
Seeing a lot of movement. Obviously, there's golfers out on the course now going through. It looks like Bridgman is advancing. He's through 9 now. JJ Spawn in that T20 range. A lot of people moving out here today. So the course is giving them up early. I wonder if it's going to change through the day. Looked like the weather was going to be beautiful out there again in Hilton Head. So a lot more to come. I think it's going to be a really fun tournament to continue watching over the course of the next day and a half now.
I think the pin locations over the next 2 days is going to be what's the most interesting, especially for the last couple groups that come through that are in that featured prime slot. Because day 1 and day 2, typically in the RBC Heritage, are your scoring pins. And then you get day 3 and day 4, while still gettable. It's known in golf that those are called tournament. Like, those are champion pins right there the last 2 days. Once you make that cut, those pin positions don't get any easier.
No, and that's what's going to be fun about, doing this show weekly is coming in. And while we can't provide full coverage of every single round, I think it's fun to come in on Saturday morning, take a look at who made the cut and the action coming into that. Obviously, with as much media as there is now, you can go out and find the highlights. But this is a great chance for us to come on, get a chance to talk between the two of us. Not that you're not helping us out on some of our other shows now as well on the Scene Project Sports Network, but really grateful to have someone to talk about the tournament and to get that out there. Anything else from the tournament you want to cover? Any other sleepers in there before we move on to our final
There
segment?
is one little sleeper in there. Sungjae Im. One of the most scrappy guys out of the bunker and out of the rough. He had a spectacular chip in out of the bunker. He's still in there too. I think he's one of those guys that's either right there at T4 or basically right there at 5. And I think I have to go back and look at his score, but I want to say right now he's like -5, -6. And he's right there too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Sungjae win or at least be in contention by Sunday. Like if Matt, let's just say if Matt Fitzpatrick, my personal pick to win this is actually Victor Hovland. He's got a lot of momentum rolling into the weekend, and he's been close to winning this a couple times over the last few years. And I think Victor's due. And I'm gonna say this is my last insight from the RBC Heritage is my way too early prediction. I got Ludwig Aberg and Victor Hovland playing each other next year in the Masters in a playoff to see who's going to be the next Masters champion. That's what I think it's going to come down to. I really do.
Write that down. Clip this for later. Shouting out our AI editor in the background here. So awesome. Well, moving into the final segment, we are so happy to have you all with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out everything from the Scene Project Sports Network. This is the Scratch Project. We will be coming on every Saturday at 10 a.m. with the cut line to tune into everything that's going on in the golf world and give you a little recap of the first 2 days of the current tournament and preview the championship rounds moving in. Our last segment, though, is called the 19th green. And that is the lighter side of golf. And just want a chance to kind of talk about some things that have happened during the week, whether it's in our personal life or it's some things that we have coming up. Pods, I know today it's such a, it was like 80 degrees a few days ago in South Dakota. Now, granted, the wind was blowing like 50 miles an hour all day. But today the wind changed directions out of the north and it's like 30 degrees. So I love this time of year here in South Dakota, but you guys get wild weather swings out in California as well. You were on the course this weekend. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
So I was on the course on Monday going golfing with my wife and my father-in-law, and we actually got through about 6 holes uninterrupted. It was a little windy, a little overcast, and we heard a little bit of thunder far away, but we're like, all right, whatever. This side's clear and this side's got clouds, right? And by the time I tee off on the 7th hole and I get about a third of the way down the fairway, I hear the loudest crack of thunder. The wind just picks up more than it already is. It was already moderate with a little bit of a breeze. And then it just picks up to these really strong gusts. And before you know it, you got sleet falling out of the sky and hail. And I actually posted a picture on my Instagram. Dude, there was hail on the green and on the fairway. Like, you could see the little... Like, I had polka dots on my black jacket from just hail and sleet. And I was like, we're in California, right?
I love it. I'm seeing if I can... well, here, we'll see if I can do a quick screen share, and we'll throw it up for everybody.
I mean, today it's supposed to be sunny. So I'm going to get out on the course today, too. I got the course today, and then I've got the course tomorrow. Yeah, this is nuts. Like, so if you look in that photo, you see all the white that's on the green there. That's all hail. So.
You got to love early season golf, huh?
Yeah. It was so crazy.
That could happen at any point in South Dakota. So if you ever come out here to play around in the upper Midwest, be prepared for that same kind of action. It doesn't matter when it is. So and on that note, and the weather side, I want to send some prayers out to a lot of our friends and family and listeners in the Midwest here. Tornadoes through Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin yesterday. I know a lot of people are hurting, so sending out our prayers to everyone out there. I know there were some really powerful storms going through the state of Wisconsin We got a bunch of family and obviously a lot of our listeners in the Midwest as well. So prayers to anybody who's dealing with the effects of the storms out there. And if you guys are needing a new roof in any of these areas, make sure to get a hold of our friends with Odyssey Exteriors, who sponsor our Vikings United program. But a quick shout out to them, and they are always here to help you as well.
Yeah, that's I used to live in Kansas and in Michigan for a little bit, so especially living in Kansas for a little bit, I understand how quickly the weather can turn there. They don't call it Tornado Alley for no reason in the Midwest. Especially, like, I feel bad for Missouri, especially after what they had to go through with Joplin. So,
yep. So make sure if you're in need of a roof, if you suffered storm damage this year, contact our friends at Odyssey Exteriors and look them up, especially up here in the upper Midwest. Quick shout out to our sponsors. Another shout out to our sponsors at SKUNK'd Golf. They got a 20% off sale going for one more week to celebrate their 2-year anniversary. You can get more by using code Stay Stinky. So get 20% off all of their polos and hats and pullovers like the one I got on today. And you can get 20% off for the next week by using code Stay Stinky. And also check out the SKUNK'd Golf Classic that will be coming up here in June 27th, the charity golf tournament in Minot, North Dakota. They will be co-ed, so you have to have at least one female that's on the team. I think that's really fun. Actually, my wife's a much better golfer than I am in a lot of ways. A dead eye around the greens for sure. That's happening June 27th, but you can get your team registered now and check out that all of that on skunkedgc.com. We got the link in the description of the show here. Awesome show, Pods. I appreciate you jumping on with me today, getting this show kind of started. But we're obviously going to get a lot better and more in depth with a lot of our coverage as we go on. But this is pretty well put together, I feel like, for, hey, on Wednesday, would love to do another show. And here we are on Saturday already making it happen.
yeah, kind of seamless if you ask me.
Well, I got a lot of experience in the studio and on camera now. So when you kind of brought it up, wanting to do something to cover a bit more of the tournaments, I was all about it. I'll always love a challenge. And most of my wife and kids are usually kind of just laying low until the afternoons during Saturday mornings anyway. So it was a great opportunity for us to get up here and to make it happen. So Pods, anything that you want to tell the people before we jump off today, leading into next week?
I will say to the people that it is a very, very beautiful weekend here in SoCal, and I hope that the weekend is beautiful for you guys as well. If you're in a position to go out and get on the course, I highly recommend that you do. Go out there, enjoy the nature, enjoy it. It's very therapeutic. And also tune in tomorrow for our 7-8-9 baseball show. And I got some West Coast coverage for you.
Yep. Looking forward to 7-8-9 tomorrow. Vikings United. We're going to do our mock draft 2.0 on Tuesday night as well. So a lot of great action coming out on the Scene Project Sports Network. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We cover all sports and a lot more coming from the network over the course of this summer. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Appreciate Pods with a great idea to cover the tournaments and to provide some more golf coverage on the network. And we will see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. Central for the Scratch Project Saturday Cut Line. We'll see you then.